light has been announced and explained.
We're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days.
But have you ever wondered, though, how exactly does Jehovah reveal clarified understanding of the Scriptures, new light, in modern times? Aren't we grateful that Jehovah has given us these principles in His Word? It's so good to review them in view of the recent adjustments. Of course, these same principles apply to hairstyles, beards, and to all the ways we dress and groom ourselves.
If we were following a man, undoubtedly it would be different with us. Undoubtedly, one human idea would contradict another, and that which was light 1 or 2 or 6 years ago would be regarded as darkness now. A new view of truth never can contradict a former truth. The true increase is by adding to, not by substituting one for another. The Watchtower, February 1st, 1881. New light.
You're listening to The Critical Thought, where we challenge our listeners to use critical thinking when examining the teachings of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Hey, this is JT, and welcome to another episode of The Critical Thought. And yes, it's been a minute, but we're glad to be back. And we want to thank all those who reached out to us and asked for hellos and checking on us, making sure we was doing okay. Thank you so much. This evening live stream, we've invited some friends of ours to sit back, and we're going to invite you as part of the audience to look at what we're looking at right now, and that is changes in the organization. 365. Will this save the governing body? Well, this evening we'd like to invite our guests with us. We want to introduce them, let them share a little something about themselves, and we can start out with Ephraim.
Ex testigo de Jehovah. I was a Jehovah's Witness for 32 years. Also a regular pioneer for 8 years, ex-Bethelite in Puerto Rico. And I'm excited to analyze all these changes from the Watchtower.
Yeah. Next guest is Mr. Colin.
Hey, everybody. I'm Colin Zapke. I've also have 33 years experience with the Watchtower organization as well. So during my time, the years that I served, I learned a lot about their teachings as well and doctrines. And I'm also very happy to be here, very excited to discuss these changes and see what it means for the future.
Yes, and our other guest is Mr. Perry. Just unmute your mic. I think it might be muted.
Thank you. Yeah.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
All right. Yes, I'm Perry Vander Wal. I was actually born into the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I left at the age of 44. I remember a great many things, doctrinal changes and adjustments and the like. For me, things really began to unravel with 1975, having actually lived through that. At the time I left, I was a regular auxiliary pioneer, ministerial servant, and I had just been advised that at the next circuit overseer's visit, I was going to be recommended as an elder.
All right. And we'd like to also welcome all of those who are on the live stream. Feel free to put your comments into the chats. We'll bring it up and we'll make a comment about it or share something with you. You have a question or something you want to share with us that you have personally examined. Be sure to leave it up there. We'll have Lady C. She's on the ones and the twos tonight, so she'll take care of that for us. All right.
Yes, everybody. Good evening. Glad that you guys could be in our audience, and I am working the controls this evening, so I am taking myself off of the feed. All right, y'all have a good discussion. All
right. Thanks a lot. You know, one of the things that we do know for a fact, and that is right now, the Watchtower is under a tremendous amount of pressure. They are seeing pressure like they have never seen before, both inside the organization as well as on the outside. They have the governments coughing right down their necks, and they have the members inside who are just becoming totally complacent. And so it's going to be very interesting. That's why we raised the question, will these changes, will they be able to save the governing body? And I just want to throw something out to our guests this evening. Did you ever imagine you would see the type of changes that we are seeing with such speed and the number of changes. Did you ever imagine you would see that as you was in the organization?
Not me. I would never imagine that. I mean, I'm not surprised because they have done changes before that were shocking to me at the time. But at this speed and one behind the other, I was not expecting it, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Were you Colin? Were you surprised, or what did you think when you saw? I mean, as the number of changes just kept rolling, what went through your mind?
Yeah. Well, I didn't think those changes would ever happen to begin with, number one. And number two, how fast. I mean, we were, months back, we were kind of whimsically, jokingly, saying that, okay, well, I bet the next one's going to be another month will go by and we'll see this happen, or now it's going to be pants. And okay, yeah, well, that's not going to happen. And the next thing you know, hey, guess what? So both, I didn't expect those changes ever to happen. Things that were very central to being a witness, counting time, no beards, the pants, all those kind of things. And now with these, they're starting to soften up on the treatment of removed ones. So it just, things have been happening, one thing after another, after another, after another. And like you said, they're just kind of throwing things out there and just, hey, let's see where it lands.
Yeah. What about you, Perry? You said you were born in. I mean, you got experience from the ground up.
At a certain point, I began to realize that the organization was going to have to start making some changes. But, being raised in it, you know that changes within the Watchtower organization happen at a snail's pace, if ever. So I didn't expect to see as many changes as quickly as possible. And for Watchtower, for Jehovah's Witnesses, these are pretty radical changes. I mean, they're, from one extreme to the other, when you consider how the organization is generally very, very judgmental about a lot of different things.
Oh, absolutely.
So all the things that we frowned upon and looked down upon Christendom for and things like that are now kind of becoming mainstream. And I think mainstream is going to be a really important word as you talk about their future, because it seems like they're trying to do that. So, but no, I didn't see anything coming this quickly and this many changes.
Yeah. And as you look at what do you think is really the driving reason that the organization has realized that they have to make changes? Because the organization don't do anything voluntarily. They've never done. They've always a force. Yeah. There's always a force that moves the organization when it makes changes. And what would you think would be probably the biggest things that impact this organization? And we can see it too as well.
Money.
Yeah.
Money. I mean, they have been losing money for a long time. They are way too arrogant and way too proud to come up with these changes all by themselves. I'm sure that they have this battalion of lawyers telling them, look, guys, you're going to continue to bleed money. And they had no other option than to start listening. I mean, when everything started when they lost in Spain, the lawsuit, and all of a sudden, because the witnesses over there, they were hitting them hard with the beards and the pants. And when they took them to court, and I'm pretty sure that they thought they were going to win. And as soon as they lost that one in Spain, maybe a month or two afterwards, here comes the announcement of the beards. Here comes the announcement of the pants. Here comes all these changes started to do that snowball effect. So they're losing money, and they have to stop the bleeding somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, our friend Jack up in Canada. I mean, we having a conversation one evening, and he said only two things. Whenever changes make, there's only two reasons. It's a legal reason or a financial reason, and we have seen the financial reason, the court cases. Man, I was talking to someone once, and the number of court cases that never make it to court because the Watchtower settles out of court. I mean, the number. Yeah. I mean, the numbers have got to be just off the chain because a lot of cases you never hear about. That's why the witnesses, the watchtowers can keep stuff so quiet. They'll just settle all the case. And as a result, that's just more money, more Kingdom Hall. More, I mean, the dollars have got to be rolling. And of course, then there's the legal aspect in different countries now. We see what happened in Norway. We see what's happening right now in New Zealand. And like you mentioned in Spain a while back. One of the things that the Watchtower is really good at, and they learned this back in the 40s, the importance of precedent. Once something gets established in one country, you get that domino effect.
Yes.
As witnesses, we always bragged about we do everything the same around the world. Well, there's a downside to that. There's a serious downside, and that is
different
that
countries are looking into them. Different other countries are looking into them because I've been told that France is looking into them, Germany, Japan. There's a Greece, I think was the other one. I was given a list of I was talking to my contacts and they were saying like they're looking into this, and this country. Canada, they have there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, I think that's a really key point. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What actually caught my attention about that is that, and what's catching Watchtower's attention, in my opinion, is that they are now coming under the microscope in countries that were favorable to them historically. And now they're looking and saying, this isn't right. There are things that are happening in that organization that we weren't aware of. And these go against the very tenets of the civil rights or whatever, it's important to that country. And that's new for them. We were always, used to hearing about the opposition in countries that we always knew were in opposition to Jehovah's Witnesses. But now when you're having favorable nations that were, working along with Watchtower, now taking a closer look, that's definitely got their attention, in my opinion.
Do you think that one of the things that the ex-Jehovah's Witness community and just the world in general, they've changed the narrative? Because see, now so many things are put in the context of human rights.
Yes.
The way you treat another human. And
absolutely.
The Watchtower has never been subject to that. If you remember back in the Royal Australian Commission, one of the things that was very, I just remember this guy's comments because the judge sat there and he looked at the two guys from Bethel and he said, you guys take away a person's social structure if they get disassociated and they have nothing. And then he said, and that's cruel, ain't it? That's cruel. And so I can imagine those words rung very loud in the ears of governing body members, legal department, because if you are coming across as cruel, you're going to have problems. You're going to have some serious problems, especially if you move into different countries asking for legal status. And as we know, and I didn't realize that in some, I had no idea that in some countries, churches get a certain stipend.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that. I was going to ask all of you guys. I had no idea until Norway. I did not know anything.
Yeah, man. I never heard
None
of that.
None of us did. But they do. Yeah. They do, though.
Yeah, and this is the thing. This is what bothers me the most. If I just think, put myself like, let's say I was still a Jehovah's Witness, and I hear this. All these years we've been told that Babylon the Great represents all these false world religions that are fornicating with this beast that represents all the human governments. And when you hear that they are getting money from the governments, and not only that, fighting for those funds, then who is fornicating with the governments?
Right.
And not only that, if you go to listen to Norway, the Mormons, they have the same bad reputation that the witnesses, but they were not deregistered. Why? Because they were not registered in the first place. The Mormons do not take money from the governments. They take it from their members with the 10% they get, they receive from the members. So okay, so who's the true religion then? If we're going to use what Jehovah's Witnesses define as the true religion, because they are making deals with the government, but the Mormons aren't. That doesn't make sense to me if I was a witness.
Yeah, it is. It's just amazing. I know countries would give out tax exempt status, but to actually cut dollars and basically it's based on, you know, publisher numbers and so forth. And that is, I mean, and it's funny
that
because
puts it in a whole new light.
oh man, what are you talking about? And you know, we often laugh about how the organization is very much like that story called Animal Farm, where the animals on the different parts of the farm have no idea what's going on the other side of the farm over there. And that's kind of the way it is with Jehovah's Witnesses. You know, we claim we're unified, but man, there are so many things that go on in the organization. You have no idea. You just have no idea. I mean, we used to hear people. I mean, yeah, you just have no idea. You're just limited to your little area, and that's it. And that's really the driver that keeps witnesses in check, because it's only on the needs to know basis. That's what they used to tell us at Bethel all the time. Needs to know basis. If you don't need to know, you don't know. And that's why it's so hard when you talk to a witness. Well, I ain't never heard that before. That can't be true. And so it's a great lock. I mean, the way the organization just locks people up. But you know, that's really the whole thing. And so these changes that we've seen being driven by governments cracking down, and the financial problems they're running into, governing body, them guys go back and they decide we're going to change teachings of God. That's to me, that's probably the most amazing thing. Is that they will change teachings of God. And because, you know, like we started out with the very beginning about new light, that's one of the biggest get-overs I have ever seen in my life. We just fail for that, man.
Yeah,
just for that.
And I don't know if you guys, JT, if you guys heard about one of the most recent countries to also join the ranks of denying them, which was Lithuania. And Lithuania, this was just recently. And what really they didn't deregister them. They're not registered there yet. And they said, no, we're not doing it. Now, what really caught my attention about this was who's doing it. You see, until now, the Watchtower's rhetoric has always been, oh, these countries that are persecuting us, the communists, the places where it's really dangerous for. Now, all of a sudden, you have countries like Norway, countries like Lithuania. These are NATO countries. They're friends of the United States. They have very strong human rights laws. They're very open-minded. And they're telling the witnesses there that, well, you can practice, but you need to do this. Okay, one of them is the blood thing. That's the one issue it was. And the other one was they're negative to take part in the armed forces. And so the witnesses are saying, well, we're not going to go to war. And Lithuania is like, you don't have to. You can cook food. You can, make whatever, there's administrative duties that you can do that don't require you going into combat, and you're fine. We'll accept that. And the same thing with the blood thing. You can, and this must have killed the Watchtower, because the reasoning was, you can practice your religion in our country. There's other religions there. Okay, Lithuania is mainly Catholic, but there's other religions as well. You can practice here. However, your religion, your practices, your doctrines have to be moral, and they can't go against human life. So basically, they're calling Watchtower immoral, which must have killed them to have them say that. But it's funny that they can't hang on this anymore of saying, oh, this is Russia going against us, or this is, these Arabic countries. No, these are free countries that have human rights, that they're open-minded, like New Zealand, like Lithuania, like Norway, and it's all kind of coming apart. So when I look at this and I go, wow, for a witness, when you look at these things and more and more and more, like what just happened with the this issue with what you're saying right now, they're re-understanding scriptures, and they came out with this the new marking arrangement, right? Where that's up to each person now. You mark them yourself, which I think is gonna eventually lead them into disfellowshipping disfellowshipping people, they'll stop doing it. They'll just let each person kind of stop,
Yeah, I think so too.
So what did they say? What really caught my eye or my ear was they said, oh, we have a new understanding of Second Thessalonians. And what Paul said there, Paul's words. They didn't even bother to say this is new light or to say Jehovah gave us this. No, they just said we have a new understanding.
The governing body has decided.
Okay, y'all just making this up now. No, y'all just making this up. They didn't even say this is new light. Oh, Jehovah gave us this new understanding. No. Oh, we just basically misunderstood it. What Paul was saying was that's each one of you got to do that, So people got to realize sooner or later these people are just making this up.
Yeah.
They got very comfortable with the U.S. government, because the U.S. government, they could basically, any religion can almost get away with anything in the United States, but things are changing in Europe. So that's where they're getting hit left and right. So they go with the same arrogant disposition towards these governments in the Europe Union, and they're saying like, no, hold on, you gotta respect human rights here, and if not, there are gonna be consequences.
Yeah,
they're not.
Let's take a look at some of what some of our on the stream have said. Jay had mentioned about old light,
Old light.
Yeah. I remember the Watchtower is pretty slick when it comes to new light and all that kind of stuff. I remember a circus here made the point once. He says we have what's called present truths, which means we have past truths.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have future truths. And it's kind of cool because at no time, regardless of where the teaching is at, it's never a false teaching. It's always something. It always has a truth tied to. So this is just a past truth. It's never a false teaching. It's a past truth. And I remember as a kid growing up, we would hear this crazy stuff, and we would say, "That's right. That makes sense. That makes sense." Now you look at you like that was crazy as I don't know what, man. That was absolutely Looney Tunes.
It's called wordsmithing.
Oh man.
Yeah. What's sad is that if you, when the new truth comes in, if you say no, I'm going to stick with the old one, that's apostasy. It's like today's new light is tomorrow's apostasy.
Yeah.
One of our
super chat. We have Rally. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the contribution. Help the channel, pay the bills, and get solved.
Yeah, I remember JT also years ago. A circuit overseer told us that along that same lines. With, for example, when you read in the Bible about, like in the book of Joshua, the sun standing still and stuff like that. They go, well, but back then, I mean, they were writing the Bible according to their point of view, and they didn't have, what we know now and things like that. So, that's why that's in there, because you can point that out and say, look at what people were writing. They didn't know, the sun standing still and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, let's apply that to today. That same reasoning, I can understand them perfectly. 2,000-3,000 years ago, for whatever it was, they didn't have telescopes. They didn't have all the stuff that we have today. So how is it that in 2024, we're still like basically blindly stumbling our way through? Oh, we got to wait for Jehovah because we don't know. What excuse do we have now?
I know,
for not understanding these things. And all of a sudden, it's Jehovah, it's because Jehovah, it's not our fault. He didn't tell us. He didn't reveal it to us until now. And you just go, well, come on, man.
Yeah. I have that. Over in the comments section, Just June made the point that it infuriates her because they misapply that scripture about the new light. It has absolutely. If you read the whole chapter, read the whole book, it has nothing to do about the teachings of some organization out of New York.
Nothing to do with prophecy.
Yeah,
absolutely not.
See, it's good to see you as well. Okay, so see, good to see you as well. Oh man, look at Kay. Kay says no accountability, no apologies. I think that, man, that is, I think that is probably the most painful thing. So many of us, in one way or another, made decisions based on what we were taught. We was told this is what God says, what Jehovah says, what Jehovah wants you to do. This is Jehovah's viewpoint. And then they change it. And like Charles Sanders Russell said in that article in 1881, he made he used a good illustration. He says, if you have a room and you have 6 candles in it and you add an additional candle, You don't extinguish one of the old candles. You bring in a seventh candle now, and it makes the room brighter. So your understanding becomes brighter. You don't flip it. You don't throw it out. And the problem is, I remember I got into a lot of trouble asking the question, well, if this is new light that we have right now, and we got this from Jehovah, then where do we get the old light?
Exactly.
Where'd you get the old light from? And so, go ahead, I'm sorry, go ahead, yeah.
I was asking someone the question, and just to simplify it, because they were kind of going around in circles about it, and so I simply asked the question. So, if I used to believe this, but now I'm saying that I don't believe that anymore because I believe this, then am I not, by extension, saying that that was wrong? I mean, you can try to dress it up any way you want, but if I changed my belief, it's because I believed what I believed before was not accurate or not right. And yet somehow Watchtower has always done this song and dance about the new light thing. And I'm right with you that scripture is totally taken out of context. That entire chapter is. And yet they built this whole theology around that. And I said to someone, it's kind of like, if Jehovah were to, back in with the Israelites, taking them into the desert, headed towards the Red Sea, and he said, you know what? I know we went 10 miles this way, but you really should have turned 5 miles back. So let's just back it up and go that way. But it wasn't wrong. It was just a redirection. How would we respond to that? And yet that's what they do with every doctrinal change.
Absolutely, excellent point, man. Excellent point.
The thing is that they don't lose, because all they have to do is blame Jehovah. It's like, well, that's how Jehovah operates.
It is kind of sad to do that. Yeah,
that's how Jehovah operates. So he was the one who gave us that light. So it's never their fault. It's never Jehovah who is giving them that false information.
Yeah, one of the posters made the point when the comments was, how can people give to a multi-million-dollar organization? Someone has sent me a list of all the properties that they sold in Brooklyn. Someone went to Kings County courthouse and went to the deeds office and got the actual document of the deed, who it was sold to, how much it was sold for, and then signed by Watchtower and I think Dwayne, a guy named Dwayne. I remember. I think if he's the same guy who was at Bethel in charge of property, I know exactly who he is. But man, it comes like $2 billion, man. Can you? And see, remember, unlike you or I, if we sell our home or whatever, we got to pay taxes.
Yeah,
churches don't pay taxes, man. That's a clean $2 billion. And so
in the pocket,
crazy in the pocket, man. And so and that's just in Brooklyn. That was just in Brooklyn. That's from Kings County. One county, they dropped $2 billion in real estate. And so then when you start moving around to England and Spain and Australia and in Argentina, where they're selling branches, the organization, man, is dealing in so much money. And then when they cry broke, when they won't put an air conditioner in the Kingdom Hall because somebody's got to sit out on a little tent called the Kingdom Hall, man, it's almost insulting. There should be no Kingdom Hall anywhere that don't have an AC unit, because air conditioners don't cost that much. You can bolt them right to the side of the house. You get 4 or 5 of them to the Kingdom Hall, and everybody's cool and comfortable. Man, no.
Yep.
In Puerto Rico, there's the public list of the Kingdom Halls that are being sold in Puerto Rico. It's 100 Kingdom Halls, all between $250,000 to $1 million each.
Right.
That's in Puerto Rico alone.
I saw that.
And what you said about the air conditioning, I'm not surprised, because Nestor, who was Raymond Francis' friend, when they were in Bethel, he was telling the story that him and his wife, they put an air conditioning in their room in Bethel. You had to buy your own AC back then.
Yes, you do, man. Yeah, and they charge you every month. They charge you for the bill.
That's what he said. That was what? That's a little meter thing. And they will. And they will charge you the electricity. That's insane.
They got a little meter, man. They charge you. And these are Bethel lights, man. I mean, we was making $80 a month. When I left, we topped out at 90 when I left. And they was charging you, man, for air conditioning. It's like, this is crazy, man.
Yeah. Well, that's the same thing here in Honduras. That's one of the things that led me to leaving the organization, because, and I was living in a different part of the country, which was very hot, no air conditioner. They got us sitting on wooden benches, and I didn't know all the stuff I know now about all the properties, but I assumed, well, they have to have money. This organization has to have money. And how many brothers back in the States would put up with sitting on wooden benches and stuff like that? They wouldn't give us an air conditioner. Oh, but the missionary home, they all had air conditioners. And who paid for that? The society did.
But you know what's interesting about this whole thing, man? This is what makes the organization so crooked, man. They have no problem you sending them money. But the minute that a congregation in Tennessee says, we're sending this money, wait, what were you at? What country were you in?
Honduras.
You said y'all guys didn't have no air conditioning. Do you know if a congregation in Tennessee says, we're going to send this money for these two congregations so they can get some air conditioning, do you know they would shut that down?
Oh, yeah.
Shut that down.
Yeah.
We just saw just recently, man, the thing about the brothers who are in prison. The Watchtower, like, don't be sending them guys no stuff. Don't be sending no care packages. Don't be kidding. Do you know how many care packages would be going to the prison if the organization just simply made the announcement, brothers, we have 82 brothers in prison in this country. We want to put a little care package together. We ask you brothers to put your little care package together, and we're going to send it to the branch, and then we have a representative from the branch going to take it down and say, look, this is for our witness brother. Even if they don't even get the package, the brothers look out there and see them 4 or 5 vans and U-Hauls. That's nice. But the organization said, we don't have no numbers, but we don't really know who they are in prison. I'm like, God, you're kidding, man.
You have
to. Did you guys see? Yeah, did you guys see the guys that were in prison that just got let out of Russia?
Yeah.
They did that deal, and they were talking. I saw an interview, and they were talking about how they would get all these letters, and they get money. People would send them money, and I'm sitting here going, the people sending these guys money, and the Watchtower societies telling us don't send them money. And you know why? It's because they need them to be there. Oh, poor things. They need them suffering. It was like, did you guys ever see that like first Sam Kinison, the comedian, the Sam Kinison act, when he said that you see the commercials about Africa, and he said, the director's yelling at him like, don't give that kid a sandwich. I need him to look hungry. That's what the society does. It's like, oh, no, because they need that image. They need, poor, look at our brothers. They're in prison. They can't get anything there. They can't. Yeah, everyone wants to send them stuff. They won't let us.
Yeah.
That reminds me when 9/11 happened. That the Red Cross, people were sending all this money, and the Red Cross said, well, we'll just send it to us, and then we'll decide. And they were like, no. We send it to the victims. Give it to the victims, and they had to. So, but who's going to tell the Watchtower, no, you can't do that?
Do you remember when they told? Do you remember when they told all the witnesses, if you put a check, do not sign at the bottom of the check who it is to go to?
Yes,
I remember that.
Remember that.
Blank checks.
Yeah, they get in trouble with IRS, and so the witnesses would send tens of thousands of dollars, and they would want it to go. The Watchtower would get these sad talks about the brothers in Haiti need help. Then contribute. If the witnesses could actually write up there for brothers in Haiti, all of that money would have went directly to the brothers in Haiti because the IRS required them to do that. I remember the Red Cross, like the Red Cross, they got in trouble with the Florida hurricanes back in the Bush administration. They had back-to-back hurricanes in Florida, and people were putting the names of where they wanted, and so it went to one hurricane or went to the other hurricane. And the Red Cross like, we're going to decide how it needs to be spent and this and that. And man, they got into a lot of trouble. And so the society around that time, they dropped it and says, just put general fund, worldwide work. And that goes in, you never put money into a big old slush fund because then it can be spent. And that's what the organization does, including paying lawsuits.
Oh, yeah. That's where the money is going.
That's where the money is going. The organization is spending money. You know, I mean, you figure. I mean, take Warwick. I think I heard it's about $300 million properties. What it's about worth if you were to try to sell it. Now, of course, we know it's cheaper because it was built with all free labor and donated parts and donated wood and everything. So it didn't cost nowhere near $300 million. But the organization, man, that stuff is paid for. That stuff is paid for. When they open up the building the first day, it's paid for, and they'll pretend like there's a bill. I remember getting into so much trouble, man, at my circuit assembly here in Washington, D.C. I used to be the account server, and you know the way they make you pay each. That's why they always go into red, because you get a predetermined amount that you got to pay. So it's like, you know, $13, $14 a publisher. You got 1,000 publishers going to be attending. You already owe $13,000 day one. When you walk in at 7 o'clock, you already $13,000 in debt. And so I made the mistake of asking the district overseer at that time, once we finish paying off the assembly hall, you know, they're going to reduce the. Man, he looked at me like I was stupid.
Yeah.
Like, are you a fool? We ain't cutting.
Yeah.
We ain't cutting. We ain't cutting
Nope.
nothing. Oh man, let me take a look. Let's see what some of our friends are saying. Oh man. Always said we would have blood on our hands if we didn't go out in service. How much literally blood do this organization have on their hands by the blood issue? Yeah, and those who can't handle shunning suicide. Yeah, organization got a lot of blood in their hand.
Now that they mentioned that, I was thinking about that the other day, because there are no like statistics on how much people have taken their own lives because of the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I personally know at least 4, and it was, so you know that the number might go even to either hundreds or thousands, not counting the thousands of people that have lost their lives because they refuse blood. Now, when you think about tragedies like Jonestown, this mass suicide, how many people lost their lives? They took their own lives there. It was like 900 people. So if you think about the numbers of the probably thousands of people that take their own lives in cults like the Jehovah's Witnesses and compare it to something like Jonestown, you would see the things in a different perspective.
Yeah, that's so true, man. That is so true. It's very unfortunate. When Lady C and I was in our car accident, we went to the hospital. One of the doctors, you know, they always ask you, what's your religion? And we told we had no religious affiliation. And I said, in fact, we used to be Jehovah's Witnesses. And she just perked up. And I said, are you familiar with the hospital liaison committee? And she says, yes. And we talked to this doctor quite some time. And she says, basically, these guys are idiots.
Yeah.
Basically, because you have men who have no medical background, nothing. And they'll come into these meetings, what you want to use this alternative. And they're like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. What are you talking about? And it's all because they're reading off a script. Right. And the Watchtower gives them the script, and they go to the hospital. And I remember one guy years ago, he said he'd never forget the day they was in this meeting with, the director and the surgeons, and they all, they bus drivers for the city, and they have to explain to these guys, these alternative blood issues that, blood fractions they could use. And he said, I just felt like a fool sitting there trying to. And he said he was just looking at the doctor. They was being respectful because they want. But he said he could just look at like, y'all crazy as nuts. And this is what goes out and represents it. And so what this lady told us at the hospital was, when the witnesses are there, like the hospital liaison committee, the person was like, I don't want no blood. I want no blood. They leave. Can I get some? And so she said she was amazed at how many witnesses. When them 3 brothers leave, man, a whole different game. Whole different game. So I mean, that is. I mean, it's one of those things. But that. So this whole thing now with the disfellowshipping, they have now tried to soften it. It looks like they're trying to get the word disfellowshipping and judicial committee out of all documents. And actually in about another 5-10 years, man, it'll probably be out of every document.
Well, remember, it became an issue and a point of conversation during the ARC and what that actually meant. And they try to play down the whole judicial aspect of it, because it's like, you can't have it both ways. It either is or it is not. And they try to soften that and backpedal, and the judge wouldn't let them, neither would the attorneys. And so when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, well, call it whatever you want. But we also know that what Jehovah's Witnesses say and what they do in practice are two very, very different things. So they could try to, downplay it that, well, we're not saying they're just fellowship, because that word carries its own meaning, right? And now has a stigmatism attached to it, right? And so now they'll just say removed, but wink, wink. We all know what that still means.
Yeah.
It worked for them. The thing is, it worked for them before. So they're gonna, if it worked once, they might say, let's do it again, because they did it in Bulgaria. That they changed they said, they could, nobody's telling them not to use blood. So they're not going to be this fellowship. They're just going to be disassociated. And Bulgaria said, "Oh, really? Okay, so let's that's good. That's good. Then we're all good." But they didn't say the consequences are the same.
Yeah.
So now with the internet and the internet era, the cat is out of the bag. Now they know that they're just playing. They're trying to play with the governments, and they're not going to get away with it that easily.
Well, and we know how legalistic they are. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Let me just give a shout out to Monica. Monica, thank you so much for supporting the channel. And you are right. This issue with blood and this fellowshipping is a major problem for the organization. Definitely. Let me throw this question out to you guys about this fellowshipping. It's pretty bad. What do you think of the change with minors, people under 18, when it comes to judicial cases? That is a major change, because if you look at the posts, you read the comments on various sites, when people give the experience of what it was like when they were brought into the back of that elders meeting by themselves. Their mom and daddy sat out in the front, out in the car. They had to go back there, 13, 14-year-old little girl, whatever, back there with 3 old dirty old men for all practical purposes. What do you think of that change?
Thank you, Norway. Thank you, Norway, because that was because they lost Norway, and they were forced to do so. And then the funny thing is that they had these 2 videos that were going to be in the regional assembly that were leaked by Warwick Pimo. And that's the thing. As soon as they lost Norway, those were out. They eliminated those videos that were just gonna double down on the shunning policy. But they lost Norway. Now they have no other options to either keep losing money or make changes. It's all about the changes. It's all about the lawsuits.
And
Jay,
also keep in mind.
Hey, Jay, I just want to say thank you, man, because you help us, we help you. Everybody needs to try to pay it forward. Whoever, someone help you get out of this organization, man. The very least you can do is reach back and try to help somebody else. That's one of the things that we ask people to do.
Absolutely.
Reach back, and if you only can help one person, that will change a person's life. So Jay, man, you're welcome. Somebody helped us. We try to help others as well. But yeah, y'all, as you were saying about the minors, and so now at least there is something that good has come out of that case in Norway, because now they're basically leaving up to the parents. They're basically the parents have more leeway. Yeah,
that whole situation is, that's basically coercion. If you have anywhere, I work in education as a teacher, and and you cannot, ever, since forever, you cannot, have a meeting just with a student or have, with a minor person. You have to have other people present there. The parents have to come. And Watchtower, what they've been doing, because they're not very good at planning this stuff, they paint themselves into corners, and then they have to act accordingly now. Because if you analyze what happened in Montana, and you see they didn't think this through. So when the case happened in Montana, which they ended up settling on, But before that happened, before the settlement, it went all the way to the Montana Supreme Court. And the Montana Supreme Court overturned it based on the fact that Watchtower has a clergy class, so they enjoy clergy privileges about secrecy when it comes to confessions and things like that. So they use that tactic to get out of it. But then what happens after that? The Supreme Court ruled in their favor. They said, yeah, you got a clergy and you can have confessions. But now they went, oh, dang, we didn't think that one through. Because now they had to change. The Judicial Committee doesn't work anymore. You don't go and confess to 3 people. You confess to 1. You know, a priest, anyone out there that's been Catholic or anybody else, you're not going to go, you don't go to confess to 3 priests. And the other thing is, confession is voluntary. You don't get called to confess. You know, you got to come and talk to the elders. They drag you back in the back room, you know, and the priest takes you back there and you have to, and all that stuff. So just to be congruent with what they did in these other cases, now they have to make changes in order for them to say, well, yeah, well, since we have a clergy, now we got to do this. We got to change, you know, these things. Of course, we know that with the minors, that whole thing has to do with human rights. That has to do with, you know, a lot of those laws, a lot of the things that are coming out with the sexual abuse. So they got to be very careful with that. But that whole clergy issue, which is one now that you can use to point out, like, you know, in the case with your friend there, you know, about saying, hey, you know, you guys as witnesses, you have a clergy, and they'll fight it and they'll say, no, we don't. It's still on jw.org. And they say, no. That's what sets us apart with. Yeah. But let me tell you about Montana. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
That is one of the things they argue. Oh man, they argue that strong. We have a hierarchy. Yeah.
Yeah. The Supreme Court conceded it to you based on your argument that you have a clergy. So guess what? You have a clergy.
And even these changes are superficial, because when it comes to the children, okay, so now they have to go through different steps, and there are some changes there.
It is
but
true.
Ultimately, if the minor says, I don't want to be a Jehovah's Witness, you will be shunned. So it's not going to change. The final outcome, it might delay it, or the road will be longer, but it will be the same.
Yeah, that's true. And just that was the point Just June was making. I was just thinking that there are going to be parents who are going to tell the elders, "Oh, we got this," because that's the question. That's the question they're going to ask the parents. You got this under control? Yeah, we got this, man. We got this. We don't And so you're going to have a lot of parents who are going to literally and especially those who are like kind of at that PMO stage, they're going to shut the elders down. We got the niece. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah, JC, that was the point I was going to make as well. That, you know, in the United States as well, that parental rights is a very, very big and hot topic right now. You know, especially when you talk about in the school system, in the education system, parents saying, "I have a right to know what is happening with my child." And so, for you to call my teenager into a meeting with 3 grown men. And discuss all sorts of personal, sensitive issues that I'm not privy to. No, as a parent, I have a problem with that. So I think they recognize also that even here in the United States, although sometimes some of the witnesses here can be a bit more docile, that's starting to change.
Absolutely. Someone asked the question: do you think the loving governing body is shunning Tony Morris? It depends on why he left.
We still don't know why he left.
Yeah, we don't know why he left. And generally speaking, we know the governing body is a lifetime appointment. You go there till you die. So more than likely, there was probably some. With all these changes coming out, I'm sure Tony probably said, "You know, I can't do this. I can't do this."
I don't see Tony Morris as having would go along with any of this stuff.
I don't think so either. And so to leave and keep him quiet, because they realized the mistake they made with Ray Franz. Yeah, they're like, never again are we gonna give somebody $10,000 with all the stuff they know and send them out the door. No, we're not doing that no more. How much you need, Tony? $400,000? Okay, all right. New house? Okay. New car? We got you covered. And so,
JT,
personally, I could not believe that they only. This tell you how crazy this organization is, man. How do you give somebody $10,000 and you sit on $1 billion, knowing that this man is going to walk out with all kind of documentation? They had to be the stupidest folks I've ever seen in my life. I mean, Even though I don't agree with the organization, you would have thought they would have said to themselves, let's make a nice settlement, keep it to yourself. They gave this man $10,000, man. That's like you can buy a car. You can't even buy a car for $10,000. You cannot buy a new car for $10,000. And this is what they gave him and told him, don't talk. Yeah. But when they did with Tony Morris, they hooked Tony Morris up, and I think he'll probably be quiet. I don't think we'll get any exposés or any. He won't be sitting on Oprah's. He won't be sitting on Oprah's couch no time soon.
Oh no! I'm pretty sure he got Limitless McAllen, and the top notch one.
Yeah. Someone asked a great question. How do elders? I'm sorry. How do elders that have been in for a long time justify all these changes? How would you answer that? That's a great question.
You guys
long
were
time
elders.
elder.
I wasn't.
How do you justify the changes? How would you justify the changes? Or did you justify the changes? I know for myself, it was a point that was one of the reasons I left. The changes. Generation 1914, alternative service. I couldn't go with that.
I wasn't an elder, but I know that the illustration that they always use is that you have to run to the speed of Jehovah's chariot.
Oh yeah.
And so that justifies basically everything. It's like, okay, so and the chariot, it will shift to the left or shift to the right, and you have to just be you have to be right next to it. You cannot go ahead, you cannot stay behind. You got to be like, so if it says beards, yeah, well, let's do the beards. If it says no more beards, okay, well, let's do no more beards again. So you just go at the speed of Jehovah's chariot, and you will be okay. Don't worry.
But I believe that there are a lot of elders that are sitting out there, and I could be dead wrong, but that are looking at all of this and saying this is utter nonsense.
They are.
However,
you're right. You're right, and that is the reason why we get all of these elders' letters posted. Yeah, because those elders are out there. They see that stuff and like, this is crazy. Let me post this stuff. Let me load this up right quick. This is crazy, and that's how we get it.
They brought into the sunk cost fallacy as well. I think a lot of them have. That I'm in too deep. I've given my entire life to this. What am I going to do if I lose all of this, or if I walk away?
They don't know what to do.
No.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the beards. I've talked to so many people. They actually have pictures of like their father without the beard, and then their father with the beard, and it's like we literally just dog people who wore beards. I mean, we just dog.
Oh, you're going full on worldly if you got a beard.
Honestly,
people suffer.
That bothered me. If I would have been a Jehovah's Witness, I would not have grown a beard, even with the change, because I would not have the face to go ahead and something that last week we're demonizing. And this week is okay, so let's just go ahead and the governing body said that it's okay. So, I mean, literally, you guys know that sometimes you would ask for brother so and so, and say, "Hey, have you seen brother so and so?" And somebody will sometimes, even me, would say like, "Yeah, I saw him, but you know what? He has a beard now, so you know what that means." So
yeah,
I mean, so it's like, come on now. And now, just because the governing body decided that you can grow facial hair,
I like the way he said that the governing body had decided. No Jesus, no scripture, nothing. We decided.
I heard that and I was like, oh, so it's come to this now. The governing body has decided, not that through our study or what have you.
Yeah.
We have decided.
I think it's so nice, man, when you see these guys grow the beards, because what it shows is this is what they wanted to do all those years, man. Yeah. And as grown men, they couldn't do it. They had to be told by some guys out of New York. Can you imagine living in any country outside the United States and you go to your coworkers and say, I can grow a beard now. They said it's okay. Everybody in your shop would look at you like you crazy. They would just look at you like you're absolutely stupid. You can grow a beard now? What are we talking about? And so that's what it is for witness. And I can imagine how it was on people's jobs as they walked in Monday morning with a little stubble, and about 2 weeks they got the full grown, as I said, the little Drake beard. And everybody at work is like, is that Ralph over there? He got a beard. And so People
Did you leave
who
the
are
Jehovah's
not-
Witnesses? That's the first question.
Yes, yes. I heard that because I had a friend. Yeah, I had a friend. I have a friend. He left the organization a long time ago. He doesn't keep up with anything of the changes, and all of a sudden, this other brother sent him a photo with a beard, and his reaction was like, "Oh, dude, you left the organization. That's so good." He did not leave the organization. He's just showing you the new look.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Todd Hayes, thanks for supporting the channel as well. Let me ask you this, and this is our last little topic. What do you think of the changes with counting time, man? Ah,
That's a former regular auxiliary pioneer.
check the box. Check the box.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
What kind of-
it's weird. Like we're so close to the end, and this is the time where they always said that the work was gonna accelerate. It was like we're supposed.
Speed up, right?
I mean, if anything, instead of 90 hours a month, you should be doing 100 hours a month, and it goes all the way down to 15. And it's not even real preaching work. All you have to do is stand by a cart,
Stand there.
smile, and wait for somebody to approach you. It's completely insane. But I mean, the JT, you said it yourself that you cannot numbers don't lie, but you can lie with numbers.
Yeah.
So I saw this as a way to fudge the numbers. You make it easy. All you have to do is check.
Yeah.
And I understood it a lot more after Norway, because when I learned that they get the amount of money that they get is because of how many people are part of the religion. So it's easy. Just okay. So you just check here. You check here. You don't even have to go out preaching. Just say that you did, and we'll just present that to the government and get more money.
I think, and this is just my opinion, I think if we were to see a bump in the numbers, don't be surprised.
Oh, I'm expecting it.
Yeah, the reason why is because the standards to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses today doesn't exist anymore.
We were so proud of it, weren't we?
Think about this. How
difficult it was to be a witness.
Yeah, they're doing it on all levels. Reinstatement. Bring them back in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. It used to be years of folks got reinstated. Go out, find anybody in this fellowship, bring them back to the hall. That gives us another publisher. Because think about it, I love this guy, Jack. Jack made a good point once. He says, you know, JT, he said, how are the donations how are the contributions in the congregation determined? Number of publishers.
Yes.
Right.
Number of publishers. And when Jack said, I said, man, that is so deep. I had never given that a thought. Yes. And that's right. So if you have all these people who've been reinstated, you have all these people who should have gotten this fellowship under the old rules, and then we're going to try to keep, they're having 3 or 4 meetings. We're going to meet with you again next week to see if you're repentant. If you are, we'll keep you in. And so, they're doing, and you got people who be publishers. As when I saw them say we're accepting informal hours for witnessing, I said, this is it. Because informal hours have never been accepted as your full-time way of counting time.
Right.
I know circular sisters who went off. Well, sister, you got 9 hours, but 8 of them is informal. You only got 1 hour actual field service.
Yeah. Right.
And so I was talking to my dentist. I was talking to my barbershop, the guy. And no, we need you out and do it. Now, all you gotta do is, as I told one guy, all you do now is stand at the gas station while you're pumping gas and just simply say, "Gas is high. Times we're living in, man. Time." I got my
JT,
time.
That's it.
I can check my box. I can check my box.
If I think back, I've already gone through my anger phase with the organization. All right, that time has kind of passed, and so there are a few things that they do nowadays that still kind of really get under my skin. But what gets under my skin is when I'm out and about and I'm walking and I just see them standing next to these carts, because we were trained well to go out and approach people and speak with people and have discussions and defend what we believed. Even though we were wrong, we were able to stand there and have those conversations. And now they're just standing there, and all they can really do is point you to the website, you know.
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
quick to defend the faith, you know.
Yeah, I mean, today's witness, I don't think they can handle a Bible. Today's witness, all they could do, if you give them the physical Bible, I'm pretty sure they will not even be able to find the text. They have to do it online on their cell phone. Back then, any of us, you say, oh, go to so and so text, you go like, whoop, and it will open right there. We knew how to get it. Now it's all JW.org.
Yeah. Well, I think
JW.org.
I think that Zoom is here to stay.
Yeah.
I know many people who started out with Zoom. They was getting dressed in suits and ties and stockings and dress shoes, sitting on the couch looking like the Simpsons. When the Simpsons first come on, when the Simpsons first come on, everybody runs to the sofa. That's the way a lot of Jehovah's Witness families were looking, sitting around the sofa. Everybody sitting on the sofa. Then they went to the point where you have to turn the cameras on. And now, man, folks, they walk around. Witnesses are treating this just like we used to condemn people who stay at home and watch Sunday morning Christian shows and preaching on Sunday. Televangelists. They have now become just a televangelist.
Yeah.
They had the sisters. They gave the sisters the chance to carry the mics for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
They says, "Nah, we ain't doing that no more. We're gonna have little boys carry it." I can imagine how insulting that was for so many sisters, man.
Yeah.
But
JT, I mentioned to Lady C earlier about one of the things I find it so ironic is that Jehovah's Witnesses now, in terms of how they do their meetings and so many other things, they are doing all of the things that they used to poke fun at Christendom for doing. Like you go to church, they don't have hymnals. They're just putting the words on a screen and they're putting the scriptures on the screen and they're doing this and they're doing that and they're live streaming their services and no one's coming. And now
come on now, Perry. You bringing smoke.
they're adopting all of those same practices. And I look at it and I'm like, wow, we have come full circle. That's to me that they're trying to become mainstream.
Yeah.
Right.
They're trying to become mainstream.
That's what it is.
I tell you guys, we always want to be cognizant of y'all guys' time. I invited you here. I don't want to bog up too much of your time with your families. Our invited guests who are online, everyone who's streaming, we want to be cognizant of everybody's time. We thank you for coming out, for supporting us. And this is we're gonna see some interesting things in the future with this organization. I think that we're going to see it. I think we're going to see it morph into something that you literally will not recognize. I really believe that. They're not going to. I don't think they're going to go away. But I think that the witnesses as a religion, their heyday has been over. In 1974, that was their peak, right before Armageddon.
Yep.
I wanted to say this really quick, everybody. You guys covered a lot of information, a lot of topics this evening. And how do you guys feel about the number of changes that's being made? Because I know when we first heard the first major change, it was with the beards. And I was laying up in the hospital bed, couldn't even move hardly. And we just couldn't get to to our platform. And then all of a sudden, they started having a whole bunch of other changes that came out as well. So how did you guys feel about the constant changes? Were you able to keep up with them? How did you feel about that?
Back when I was a witness, I was upset because I wasn't born in. So what brought me into the organization changed in a matter of a couple of years afterwards. So, and I had to swallow it, period. You had to eat it up, however they were served. So I went through that anger phase, but right now, to me, all these changes are a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just it's even worse when you read or listen to the apologist and how they try to justify all these changes, and that come on, dude, you're just lying to yourself. Like, all these changes demonstrate that we're just going. The end is nearer than ever because we have so many changes, so many new light. That's because the end is so close. It's sad and. It's a joke, but it's not even a funny joke. It's just sad.
It is. How about you, Perry? What did you think when you heard about all the changes? The recent 365 changes, because they just came one after another.
and I'm kind of in a similar place as Ephraim, but for a different reason. Because as a born-in, you think about all the years you spent where you look down on those things, you couldn't do those things, you were restricted from doing those things, and now all of a sudden it's like, oh, never mind, it's okay, just and so it's like, wow, really? Can we kind of rewind the clock here on that one? Because there are a lot of things I would do very, very differently today. And I think we're going to see more bizarre changes as time goes on in their effort to kind of stay above water, as it were.
How about you, Colin?
Yeah, a lot of the same, because I was born in as well, and the change that they made to the preaching work, the counting time, the beards, that made me angry at the beginning, because I saw a lot of people suffer, and I think we all did, whether it be a guilt trip, whether it be but some people genuinely had their lives ruined over a beard.
Yeah.
Where they were literally like just put out of the flock. They were shunned. They were, oh, this person lost Jehovah's favor. And then all of a sudden everyone has a beard now. And you look back on those people, and the ones I know are all dead now, but they went through that and they died basically being castouts, castaways.
And
so now I feel the same way, that it's just, I see that change after change after change after change. It's desperate. It's a joke. They're trying to, I think, just, they're trying to make everybody happy. They're trying to go the progressive route now, little by little. And it's just, becoming a mainstream thing. They're trying to just do what's popular.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it comes down to money. That's all it is.
I've seen some of the comments, and a number of comments, and everybody has the same sentiment. And that is, even though they made these changes, they never apologize for the people they hurt.
Yeah.
If you look at any of the talks, like one of the governing bodies says, we ain't apologizing at all. We ain't apologizing for nothing. So that's very sad. It's very sad.
They haven't apologized for the Australian Royal Commission yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But you know what I thought was interesting about the beards? It was not the fact that they let them wear the beards, but it was the response that the brothers gave about it. It was like everybody was wearing a beard. Like it was like, come on into the water. The water is nice. It's nice and cool over here. And so it was like everybody wore the beards. Does anybody know if there was any brother at any congregation that didn't grow a beard, or did everybody grow a beard? Did you hear about anything like that?
At least in Puerto Rico, everybody grew a beard. I mean, everybody. Some of them that had their puberty beards because they could not grow a beard if they wanted to. So, but I mean, every single person on Facebook was inundated with photos, and I got upset because I knew a lot of these elders that were very hardcore on things like that, and now they have this beard. But I did read, to answer Lady C's question, that there were congregations supposedly that elders did not want to allow it. But I'm sure that will end by the CO's visit.
Sure will.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
Right.
Get in line or step down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They'll tell the circuit overseer. The circuit overseer will tell them, you're enforcing your own personal opinion, brother, which is really ironic. I mean, that's what they're going to be told. They're going to be told, well, brother, that's your personal opinion, brother, that he can't wear a beard. For the last 90 years, ever since Rutherford, man, we've been doing it on the other side. What are you talking about?
Well, it's kind of interesting too, and I don't think we had this on the in our discussion yet. But I did a video on my Hidden Struggles channel about a couple of weeks ago, and I used the word members when I was talking, and someone left a comment in my videos saying, we no longer call them members, it's now individuals. Yes. So y'all want to kind of comment on that?
That was also because of the lawsuits, especially back then, as it started with Spain, because they have to separate. You have to get that label off, especially when it comes to people that are committing CSA.
Yep.
Because they say, no, they were just going to court saying they were not part of this organization. They say, yeah, but these are your members. No, they're not our members. But look, they have to inform time. They have to do all that, and all of that started these changes. Like, okay, so we're not gonna call them members. We have to adjust the timekeeping and the informing hours so that it doesn't look like they're members. It has all to do with the lawsuits and the money.
Let me tell you what it reminds me of. This is the best example I can give. And for people in other countries, you may not know what this is, but I'll explain. The Watchtower wants to 1099 every Jehovah's Witness.
That part.
Okay. Watchtower wants to 1099 every Jehovah's Witness. 1099.
Yep.
Remember that. The Watchtower wants to 1099 every Jehovah's Witness. Just like every company, there's not one company that you would find that would not love the 1099 all its employees and make them into contractors. Yes. That means I don't have to pay for any. I'm not responsible for anything. All I do is give you your check, and I don't have no pension, no wealth, nothing. And that's what the organization wants to do. They want Jehovah's Witnesses to be independent contractors who move their products and advertise their wares. That's what they want to do.
My only question with this counting times, I don't know what you guys think, is because now I read in one of the comments, you used to use the time to measure somebody's spirituality.
Yeah.
The more you preached, the more hours you turned in, the more spiritual you were. So what are they going to use now?
Yeah, that was the first question I asked. Because I mean, a typical elders meeting, if you have crazy elders in the back, man, they'll argue over a brother who has 9.8 and a brother who got 9.7 hours. They'll sit back there for 2 hours and argue over that. So this is going to be very interesting how they will judge. But as someone told me, it says, JT, look at it this way, man. You can grow beards. That means the brother can be 22, 23-year-old with a beard, and it'll make him look like an older man. So they got the pick, you know. They got.
Have you seen JW women at the carts? Now, you know, I was just at a cart the other day and I did not pay attention to that. So the next time I go to a cart or see them, I may go and ask them about how do they feel about wearing pants now. The next time I see them. Yeah. I was in such a hurry the last time I was walking past the cart and I was running late for an appointment that I just saw the people at the cart. So I didn't even pay attention to that one. I don't know.
I've seen photos. Yeah, of his sisters with pants. Yeah.
Okay. At the cart. Okay.
At the carts. Yeah.
Ephraim, you mentioned, you asked about the hours. I think that after COVID, the hours were so low that they were embarrassing.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why is because nobody's knocking on doors anymore. And when they started coming back to the Kingdom Hall and going back out in service, the numbers have just been so low. And so we have spent all of our lives counting the numbers as evidence that God is blessing the work. And so they just decided that we're going to just take it all off for the publishers. And then for those who want to jump hoops and get positions, we'll leave the hours on for the auxiliary and regular pioneers, because these are positions that you can attain to. So we got to keep the hours with those. And this is the way the guys sit around the service department and talk. Y'all want to keep the hours? We're going to drop the hours down, you know, because they've already calculated that if we drop the hours by 10 hours, how many more increase of people would then start being published, auxiliary pioneers? And then we can brag. At the end of the year, we can say, we had a 25% increase in auxiliary pioneers. Yeah, but you dropped the numbers, man. We're just talking about that's like you having A students and you drop the criteria to a D. Yeah, your school going to be one of the biggest schools in the world with A students, but you drop the criteria to a D. And so that's what the organization does. I mean, like you said, man, you're talking about 15 hours, man? You can get 15 hours almost in one day. I mean,
when I left, I was a regular auxiliary, and it was 60 hours a month at the time.
60.
So I look back at that and like, whoa, that was an incredible waste of time.
I mean, and back, it was 100.
Yeah, back in the day, boy, 100 hours, man, 100 hours for pioneers.
Yeah.
So, you know, but yeah, it has been interesting, guys. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Kathleen, Lady C.
Well, we need to find out what they think about the future of the organization. Yeah. So can y'all kind of, let's see, we're gonna start with, well, first of all, let's answer this question. If I wanted to look at the governing body financial records, would the governing body be open and honest with me regarding that? Absolutely not.
No,
right? right.
Never.
No way.
Never,
No.
never.
Absolutely. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we
so
did
we're gonna
judge people.
um
Yeah, Will, we did judge people. Will, we definitely did that. We
all
all
right,
did.
so we're gonna
We
start
all
with
did.
Perry.
Okay.
You want to talk about what do you think the future holds out for the Jehovah's Witnesses?
I don't think Jehovah's Witnesses are going anywhere anytime soon. But I do think that, as we talked about here, the organization is going to look very, very different. I think we're going to see a lot more reliance upon canned messages, whether that be through driving people to the website or even the way they're doing their meetings now, where everything is coming directly from Watchtower. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot more people just kind of pushing through, but not really being committed as they were in the past. But then there's going to be less and less accountability for a lot of things too. So they'll be able to get by with that. But so it'll look very, very different. I think we'll see it a lot more mainstream, looking a lot more like other religions in the sense that, folks will be looking like everyday people, but not as well versed as they used to be and able to hold Bible discussions and the like, because they'll be deriving everything to Watchtower and the website so that it's a more controlled message.
That's excellent.
All right, Colin, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I agree totally with that. That's exactly my view. If Watchtower wants to survive, the only way they can survive is if they become just one more mainstream religion. That's it. They cannot survive with the practices and the doctrines and beliefs that they've had over the last 100 years. The society nowadays just will not permit it. It's not happening. So if it comes down to them either having to just close up shop or change in that way, they're going to change. I've always said the same thing. It's not going away. They're not going to go away, but they will change. So they have to start going more towards the digital. People will be less and less actually going in person, and it'll be more through the Zoom. It'll be more on TV. They're not building that facility in Ramapo for nothing. We're going to see that in the future, which I think will make things a lot clearer once that starts operating. And they're doing that because they know that their future is going to be more just becoming one more religion. And that's what I think it's going to.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. One of the
How
things,
about
and
you,
just like
Ephraim?
that, I just want to say thanks to Just Like That for supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Didn't mean to cut you off, Ephraim.
No problem. So their numbers are really going down, and they're going to continue to go down, but they are not going to go anywhere. I mean, they still, you could still find students of the Bible, the Russellites. They're still around.
That's true.
So that they're not going to go anywhere. But as their numbers go down, if they ever announce that they're under the 8 million, I'm opening a bottle of champagne, because I mean, they are not gonna survive, as said before, unless they keep doing changes. If they were to do something very radical, like go ahead and dismantle the entire governing body, put a whole bunch of new faces, not identify themselves as governing body members, and just like elders, and do that like that mystical thing that they used to have before, maybe it would help them. But nah, I mean, they're not going anywhere. They will continue to do changes. They will become a mainstream religion. That's my opinion. But I don't think any change will save them. Their numbers are going to keep going down. And that's a given.
Yeah. I think that we're gonna probably see a change in the circuit overseer as well.
Yes.
They're already starting to institute substitute circuit overseers, which are free. You take a local elder and you tap him to be a circuit overseer for 2 weeks. He gets a big head. He doesn't require any money, no support. No, I mean, realistically, he won't require any place to live. He won't require any living accommodations because he lives in his own house. I know here in Washington, D.C., we've had brothers who were substitute circuit overseers, and some of them were some of the most arrogant guys you ever seen, especially when they come to serve you the week. Like, man, you're regular elder over in Louisville, man. What's wrong with you? You come roll up in here like you come roll up in like you've been in circuit work for 20 years. Yeah. And so we no, I'm serious, man. We had a substitute circuit overseer, man. Guys used to hate to go and give talks at this guy's hall, man. You give a public talk, and at the end of the meeting, can I see you for a second, brother? I want to talk to you. What? You know, that part that this outline, but you want to get in my face, man. What's wrong with you? And so he would treat brothers like you at the circuit and district, regional assembly. And a lot of local brothers like, man, that little substitute circuit will sit there and go to your head, man. And so
it's my understanding, JT, that already started. They have a pilot program with that change already. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it started in Korea, that they already started, and it was started also for legal reasons. But long story short, they're using local brothers for 2 weeks, and they stopped using these elders called circuit overseers. So it's my understanding that it's working well for them there, and they're going to go ahead and do it worldwide. When we'll hear the announcement, I don't know, but
yeah. I mean, the cost and savings is just unreal.
It's costing them a lot of money because they have to have they give them a car, they have their health insurance. There's some things that they give them, and they're going to save all that money.
You remember a few years back, they reclassified anybody who worked at assembly halls, circuit overseer. They classified them as basically Bethelites. They got the same status as Bethelites, and so they get the same benefits that Bethelites would get as well. And so they're gonna just write these guys off. Because I mean, they wrote the district overseers off. I mean, so they already know it works.
And the zone overseers.
One more change, just to add to that, is I forgot to mention this earlier, is also their foray into motion picture production. That's going to be big for them. They're investing a lot into that.
Some people believe that they might end up doing like a Netflix kind of thing.
There's no question about that. Because there is one thing that I wish I could see. I swear I wish I could see this, man. I wish I could see this. There is a spreadsheet at Bethel. When the Watchtower made a decision that we're going to tithe, we're going to institute tithing.
Oh, wow.
What they did, very smart, very smart. Most churches tithe on the individual level. The Watchtower tithes on the congregation level. Right. As witnesses, we were very proud to say none of our elders get paid. None of our elders are compensated for their pastoral duties. We always said that. Every single Jehovah's Witness was so proud to tell people our local elders do not get compensated for their pastoral duties, which is true. You have to move to the second level in the organization. Once you hit circuit overseer, then you get compensated for your pastoral duties.
Exactly.
Yes. Same thing with tithing. Most churches, they tithe the individual. They tithe them. Watchtower says we're going to do it on the congregation level. So there's a spreadsheet at Bethel right now that has every single congregation's name on it, their congregation number, and they know exactly what each congregation has said they're going to send in. So they know exactly what their take is supposed to be every single month. Now, whether they give it or not might be different, but they already know what the take is. And so basically they're tithing on the congregation level, which is the coolest thing in the world. So they don't really care if witnesses don't show up at the Kingdom Hall, because they know they're going to send out a statement. And as long as that statement is paid off, they don't care how many people at the Kingdom Hall. They don't really care. They don't really care. I mean, so
if the money doesn't come in, the money doesn't come in, that money has to come in. Because when I was in Bethel, Puerto Rico, it bothered me when I learned that, because the literature after when it came by donations, voluntary donations, they were not charging for the literature anymore. In Puerto Rico, all of a sudden, anything that you asked for wouldn't come in. And I was like, why? I mean, I asked for this amount of magazines or this book or this whatever, and you will never receive it. And when I went to work in Bethel, Puerto Rico, they told us Watchtower will not send it because Puerto Ricans do not donate. So no money, no literature.
That's cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded. That's cold-blooded.
JT, if I can throw something there real quick, was when you're talking about on the congregation level. So I remember back in the early 2000s with the whole Kingdom Hall grab situation, and I remember the letter that we read to that I read because I was the account servant, that I read to the congregation that explained how we no longer would have a mortgage and that and the like. But what the congregation wasn't aware of was the page 2 of that letter. which said that, however, the elders needed to ensure that the congregation pledged to send a voluntary contribution to the society every month, and that contribution should be no less than the amount of that the mortgage had been.
Mhm.
It could be more.
That was such a
Yep.
light bulb for me
You're
because I was
paying
like,
it one way or the other.
yeah, exactly. But the congregation never got to see that side of the letter. We couldn't post that. We couldn't share that.
No.
And
That's
so,
a shame, man. That's a shame.
And that's for life.
They're
And that's
getting
for
the money.
life. Because you're no more loans, but this voluntary donation is forever.
Forever.
Until the
Yeah.
income.
Hall is never
Yeah.
going
What's the word? Perpetual. It just perpetually goes on. Perpetuity, right? I mean, that's a shame, man. It's a shame. Yeah, and so that's why I would. That's a page I would love. I would love to see what the Watchtower's take is. Their expected take is every single month, because we were told we were told as a body of elders, if you don't take up enough contributions in the contribution box, and you have to decide, do we pay for the light bill and the heat, or do we send the society their remittance? The Circular Seal told us the society gets their money first, always.
There you go.
Always, yeah. So it is interesting. Lady
Well,
C, thank you.
we enjoyed you all. We have a little special closing that we came up with. So hold on a second. Let me load that up real quick. We really appreciate you guys. And
so we want to thank everybody. Yeah. We want to thank everybody. We want to thank everybody in our audience. We want to thank everybody in the audience who supported us over the years. And we hope that we've been able to share something with all you guys that at least makes you think, make you wonder, question, and hope you can find your freedom like so many of us have. And as far as our guests this evening, our 3 guests on the panel this evening, thank you for sharing your insight, your years of experience, and just having an open discussion about what we see happening in an organization that has impacted so many people's lives. And for many of us, it still does, because we have family in, and we see family. Some of them are coming out, some are they're buttoning down the hatch. So, but now we know. Now we know. So, Lady C, take it away.
We want to thank everyone for participating in the live stream this evening. And as we close, I want to leave you with a powerful image. This candle represents the Watchtower's influence over our lives. Once burning brightly, now is flickering, struggling to stay alive. No more new light. Just as this flame is about to go out, so too is the Watchtower's hold on our lives. Stay strong and keep questioning.
This program was sponsored by Critical Thinkers.